Little snoozy.
Yeah.
Okay, so good morning. We're on Sutra Book 1, number 23. And Pantanjali says, or, and in parentheses, he says, samadhi is attained, close parenthesis, by devotion with total dedication to Isvara. Here he says that there is another way to get success, Isvara pranadhana, or self-surrender to God. By the term Isvara, Pantanjali means the supreme consciousness, not the individual soul, but the supreme soul. Pantanjali goes on to explain who Isvara is. Micheline, I figured I'd read the next two sutras because they all sort of go together.
Yep.
So then in 124, he says, Isvara is the supreme Purusha, unaffected by any affliction, any afflictions, actions, fruits of actions, or by any inner impressions of desires. This means Isvara has no desire, thus no action, and no need to reap the fruits of action. Then what is Isvara? In 125, he says, in Isvara is the complete manifestation of the seed of omniscience. In other words, Isvara is the all-knowing and is knowledge itself. The cosmic knowledge is called the Supreme Soul or Purusha. How can we imagine or visualize it? Imagine a circle. You see the space within it and the space outside it. The inner space is finite and the outer is infinite. If you accept the existence of a finite space, automatically you have to accept an infinite one. Without infinite, there can be no finite. The minute you say, I am man, there must be a woman. If you say left, there must be a right. The thought of one implies the thought of the other. We feel that our minds and knowledge are limited and finite, so there must be a source of infinite knowledge beyond that. And you can, because I'm not religious and I don't necessarily not believe in God, but I don't use that word. I use universe unicorn currently. That's my current word. So you can replace the God word with whatever word feels true to you. Does anyone have anything? Good morning, Amanda. I think she's on mute. Oh, you guys are all on mute.
I'm unmuting. Richard just joined in too.
Which one?
I think it's Richard Daraval. I'm pretty
Good
sure.
morning. Good
Yeah,
morning.
it is.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Pam.
Good morning. So I know Rich is new. So I don't know when you jumped on, when the new.
You were towards the end.
Okay, so I just read through sutras 123, 24, and 25. I think it's like what Ashley was saying. It's like, okay, if we're gonna believe in thunderstorms and heavy rain all day, we have to believe in rainbows.
That's nice. Yesterday, I walked over to my friend's house and brought food and, just left the box outside. And then my mother-in-law opened the door and we just talked. I'm on their lawn. And my friend actually came in from the hospital that moment. So I actually sort of got to see her. And she's been fighting for 3 years. And she's been so sick, and yet there was this energy and this life just flowing. And I came home bawling my eyes out, and I told Pierre, like, if she hadn't told me yet, I would know, because that life is not there. And what you just read here, that there has to be one. If there is one, there is the other. And I felt like I looked like I stared at death yesterday, like it was there. So, and I walked, you know, walking back, I'm just crying and bawling, and at the same time, just like going through my head with like this stuff that's, you know, it's her body, and there's still like there's life within her, and it's her soul, and it's gonna continue, and it's gonna go on, and like all this stuff. But that yesterday, that was so obvious, because if I didn't know her so bubbly and so lively, there's no way I would have been able to recognize that in her face yesterday. She was still standing up, you know, she got out of car, she was standing up, and she was walking, but there was the light in her eyes completely gone, and just, I don't know how to put it in words, but this is like
Yeah, thank you. Sometimes there just aren't the words. So this one is a hard one for me, because I didn't learn growing up. And I'm not saying that this is a religious thing, but I didn't learn devotion growing up because I wasn't raised religiously. So this idea, when I was going through yoga teacher training, because I used to practice yoga and I didn't know any of this yoga philosophy, I didn't know any of these words. So the first time I heard them all was in yoga teacher training. And this kind of scared me. It kind of turned me off from it, because it was scary. It was unknown to me. And if I'm honest, it's not something I knowingly practice. I don't knowingly sit down and be like, okay, today I'm just gonna surrender. But it is something that the seeds probably keep being planted. And it is something I probably need to work on. I feel I'm very attached to a project I'm working on right now, and I'm really working on non-attachment and letting it go. And I think maybe I just need to let it surrender to the universe, unicorn, because that's what I believe in. But I'm just sharing that in case anybody else felt that way. Maybe this comes easy to some people because you were taught early.
I don't think it's something that necessarily comes very easily to anyone, because I think, especially now, the way that our attention spans are trained and the way that we're trained growing up, it's mostly a lot of things that we do are very achievement based. Like a lot of the ways that we become an adult are achievement based things. So we learn to measure ourselves based on those things. But I feel like with these teachings, the point is that it's a daily practice to sit down and to decide that you're gonna even remember God or whatever you want to call it, that force exists. And this is kind of like what we're doing here by sitting in this group every morning to talk about these things. It's because it's not just it's a practice, and having other people in the same boat as you also trying to practice, and also just taking the time out in the morning specifically. They teach this as a part of the teachings too, that in the morning specifically for meditation, contemplation, it's a really important time, because you're coming just out of sleep, which is where your unconscious mind is kind of like at the forefront. So when you come back into your waking life, you're bringing a lot of stuff from your sleep into your life now. So you're taking parts of your unconscious, and if you can in the morning kind of like intercept what's going to happen in between you waking up from your unconscious thoughts into moving into your actions of your daily life, and you can sit in the morning and remember that God force and the divinity, and remember to channel your day based on that instead of what might have come up unconsciously, or instead of something that's based on your impressions and your samskaras. That's what this practice is. That's the dedication and devotion aspect of it, is sitting with it every day.
Yeah, thank you, Ashley. And I I feel like I spend so much of my time unlearning what I've learned, because we learn things, or I learned things growing up, and I'm like, those are not things I believe in. We learn it from our teachers and from our parents, and we think we need to believe it because that's the way we were taught. And now that I'm older and I'm doing all this work, and I'm like, no, that doesn't make sense. And it's not that I'm fighting or resisting it. It's just, it's not true to me. And it's like the samskara. Like, I don't have to wake up every day and get out of bed, make my bed, and have a cup of coffee. Like, I can change that routine. I can get up in the morning, meditate, sit with you guys, and choose my actions instead of just my life by what I was trained to do. Like, I've trained myself to do, like a little puppy.
Exactly. And I feel like what these teachings say is that you need to cultivate that space, like that the devotion to cultivating that space to analyze what's going on in your mind and realize what's even there is really important.
But it's really hard.
Yes.
Yeah. Does anyone else want to share? That's okay.
Yeah, I love these sutras. I'm really liking these because even though I wasn't like a very good practicing Catholic, or maybe I was, but I'm not really now. I still find a lot of comfort in the idea that God holds all things, and nothing can be damaged. Nothing can be like, this is all. I don't even really know, like, there's so much unraveling that's happening in my brain right now, that has been happening in my brain for a while. And so now I feel like these conversations about God, about the supreme God, it's like the sutras are so perfectly timed the way we're reading them. And what are we, 31 days in? I think 30 or 31 days in, and this was supposed to be like 15-day quarantine. I feel like a lot of people could find comfort in the fact that God is with us, or that I can rest in some way. I can rest my worries and my concerns and my wishes. I can rest them inside my devotion, if that makes sense. Like, I can devote myself to something. This is like when it matters. So you devote yourself to something without it getting anything in return, or without the guarantee of something going your way or a prayer being answered. Like, this is where you surrender. This is where you give it up and you say, okay, here, I'm ready to follow this lead. I don't know. That's how I'm feeling these days. Like, I find a lot of comfort in this idea, and I find a lot of comfort in God. I find a lot of comfort that all, like, you look back in time and you see all the things that people have survived and that people have grown and evolved through, and you're like, I'm like, I have hope. I have hope. I have hope that God was present in all those moments, and that when things get really terrible and it looks like everything is going to fall apart, sometimes that's the best time to just be still, just be patient, just wait, just soften and be open to how else this can go, how else this can turn out, how much more can I love myself in the face of this. Like, I don't want to upset anyone because I can get a little morbid, but yeah, I'm finding a lot of hope in these couple of sutras.
Yesterday, after reading I actually read all 3 sutras because one did not make sense, and then the other one did not. There was like, and then I looked up. I don't even know what I looked up, but this psalm came up, when my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. And I have friends from when I used to go to church that like are really, really church, you know, like they're everyday Christian people, like they show up to church every Sunday. And I'm sure like everyone hit likes. And in my head, I kind of giggled because you're talking about unicorn, and that's the universe and the unicorn. And I read this psalm, and the rock doesn't mean like most people who liked, I know in their head it was one picture and it's Jesus, and that's fine. But I wasn't looking at it as the same thing. I was looking at it as God, like my God, your God, whoever. It's like just we all need to be lifted right now and find something higher than this and all the emotions and the feelings that are coming up. But like I actually thought about you and how you always say unicorn.
And I'm not saying it offensively.
No.
No, I know you guys know, and it actually makes me giggle every time I say it, and I could cry like thinking about it, because I finally feel like I'm not so different, because it would always be like, if you don't believe in God, then you don't believe. But it didn't feel true to me to say I believed in God, like, and I wasn't being mean about it, and I wasn't atheist because I believed in something. But the God word scared me. Even when I read it or hear it, even Adriana just saying it, something is trauma in me. I don't know what it is that it reacts, that it's like, no, don't go to God. But I was just reading a book, and I'm going to talk about this book every day for the rest of my life, by Glennon Doyle, called Untamed. And she's not, I don't want to say very religious, but she has a very good outlook. She has an outlook on religion that I can relate to. And she explained to me that God isn't in church, God is in me. And when I can say universe, unicorn instead of God and mean the same thing as what you're saying, then it feels safer for me. And it allows me to move through this practice. So maybe you just change your word.
Pamela,
Yes.
I wanted to share something with you. I'm Ceci, Diane, and
The
I
38-minute meditator.
huh?
The 38-minute meditator.
Ultimate meditator.
So I grew up with a lot of rules and rules, and I have seen a lot of people that have suffered. I'm in the health field, and what I have encountered that some people deal better with a higher power, and people have become very in tune in what the routine is, like you were saying. And it's a joke that said, oh, God, when somebody it's a joke that it said, oh, when I was driving and it's like, oh, please let me find parking, God, please, I will do anything for you. So then he finds parking, he goes, okay, God, not anymore, I don't need you anymore, I got parking. So it is a belief, because it's something higher than you, it's something powerful than you. And I became more spiritual, not just following the rules as per se, but because rules, you need rules to have a organized lifestyle. But the spiritual aspect of it gives you serenity, because it gives you tranquility, thinking that you don't have, like you say, you don't have to call it God, but it's just a higher power. And that's when I learned about people that were alcoholics, or they had drug addiction or whatever, and they go through the 12 steps. And that's how I introduced to I was exposed to a few people that went through that. And when I was told that it's like the first thing you do is like a higher power, it gives you a different view, and something to hold on to, something to, you're not, like I used to be like lonely, and I needed a lot of people around me, a lot of like, oh my God, the party, I had to belong, had to be part of everything. And now it's like my serenity, like, I'm not alone, I'm always with my higher power. I'm more, like I was telling you, that it was very difficult for me to center myself, to to meditate because I had so much going on. Like you said at the beginning, I had plans all day long. I'm going to do this. And that made me happy because I overcome like, okay, I did this, I did that, and I felt accomplished. And now it's like, you know what? I do one thing, and if I finish, I feel good, and my connection is much more profound. My serenity is better. My willingness to help for the willing of help, not for, oh wow, Sassy, you're the best thing ever. And I don't need the pat in my back because maybe I didn't get it when I was younger. So I was looking for that. And becoming aware of that, it was a different perception of my being, my serenity, my higher power, my love of me, my love of my family. And it just when I was telling my husband that when I was learning all this, when yoga came about, I was like, oh my God, yoga is putting it all together. And I was able to sit down. I was able to just focus. And then my friend told me about the chakras, and it's like, okay, start from the anus, tied up, and go through your belly, and go through, and then let it go up the crown, and then let it go into space. It's like, where's the space? And all that is like a creation, you know. And somebody had to create it, and that's where you can go into this religion thing. But if you just center yourself in being the best you can be, and I read a book about have a what is the word? Be integrity on your word, and we were saying about not talking about others or not gossiping. But then what my friend was interpreting about the book was integrity about being good to yourself, be kind to yourself. And that's what we talked about another time with meditation. Be good to yourself, you know, meditate, take care of you. And they said that you have to take care of you before you take care of others. And I highly remember that because I used to go out of my way for others, and I was so depleted and so empty. And somebody said, no, Ceci, you have to be there for me, you're my best friend. I'm like, but I can't. I am nothing now. And it's like, oh, but you, and then people become so dependent on you, and you become so brittle that you have to say, okay, you know what? Let me give you a chance to serene myself, and I will be there another time, but I can't do it now. And you have to separate from people. Some people are so, they suck your life out of you that you have to separate, and it's okay. And I used to be like, no, that's mean. I'm like, no, it's not mean. Take care of you. Take care of your soul. Take care of your spirit, your body. And that's all freaking yoga. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is fantastic. And when I told my husband I'm starting to start in yoga, I was like, this is all perfect because it's all putting it together. And yes, it is something above the crown, whatever you call it, the rock, the higher power, the this, the that. I'm sorry, guys don't see me because I'm not looking so good here. Here I am. Hi. Okay. Hola. So okay, that's it. So so the beauty of it is centering, taking care of you, and then you can take care of others with love and attention and devotion and not expecting anything. And it just is, it's really a higher power because we all need something there, like your baby to smile at you, your mom to say a good job, your teacher to give you an A. It's always something there that you're working for. But if you can do it unconditional, it's just such a different level, such a different thing. So when people have become like addicted to something, like addictive behaviors, it's like, you know what? You have to believe it's something there that you have to take care of you and believe in yourself, because it's just very emotional to be able to speak like this, because I was not there for a long time. And I was like a puppy, a crazy puppy, going all over the place, trying to get all this attention and this love and this. And I know from where. I know because sometimes people don't get what you need when you're kids. And people and parents go, but I gave you this, and that. And I say, no, some people don't need this, and that. Some people just need a hug and love and say, you know, I love you. And some people are so focused on the external and the computers and the cars. So I have a whole closet of clothing that is sitting there because I'm not going no weddings. I'm not going parties. I'm not going anywhere. And what I'm saying about this is that, and I'm talking too much, but I'm going to put it together, that this coronavirus is allowing people that are so materialistic to see that it's nothing. It's just you, your family, your health, actually health, family, and everything else. Because without health, it's nothing. Nothing matters. The Gucci, the Gucci, the Mucci, nothing. It's just something about, I like that smile. Something about, you're so cute, Romina. Something about your existence, your love, you're waking up in the morning, having that bad breath and taking a glass of water and just being here with you guys and talking about serenity, being with you, talking about the important things and the higher power, the crown, what's above the crown, and lifting up yourself. And that's what it is, the energy that every time you feel down, just feel the lifting up, that higher power lifting you up and say, you know what, it's a good day because I'm healthy and I'm breathing. Like Ashley said, I'm getting up, and you're in subconscious, like God takes, supposedly they say that take your body away at night and you don't have to wake up in the morning, but God is giving you that, or the higher power is giving you the ability to wake up, to breathe again, to start again, and not to, like I was reading also with the yoga, with don't punish yourself with the things that you did wrong. This is time to grow, to move on, to forgive yourself and to move forward. So I can continue, but I wanted just to share that we as human beings are beautiful people, and we always have room to improve. And I always tell my children, room to improve. Is no one great, no one greatest, and not because you have money or don't have money. It's your essence, your love, and your attention. And one day I was in the highway going to work, and I had cereal in my car, and this homeless came over and looked for money. And I said, I don't have money, but I have this. And he gave me a smile. And he actually left the Cross Island, not Cross Island, the Bell Parkway Service Road. And he just gave me a smile and he goes, thank you. And he walked away with his cereal because I am fulfilling the internal, like, you know, like how you feed something in yourself, your food, a clean food, like the safta, right? The clean food, something cereal, not money, not buying McDonald's, like something healthy, and it fills your life, your safta part of your life, and then you just move somewhere else and you have a great day just by having, you know, something healthier that morning. So with you guys, God bless all of, or higher power bless us all, and may we only see the good and I was told one day, what time is it? Oh my goodness. I was told one day that I don't know if you heard the story that Israel, they had 3 kids being kidnapped and killed. And because of these 3 children, people were devastated, like, oh my goodness. And then because of that, the Israelis found tunnels under the Israel dirt that they were gonna attack in one of the high holidays to kill and massacre all these Jews. And because of these 3 kids that were killed, because looking for them when they were kidnapped before they were killed, they were looking for them and they found these tunnels. So what I'm saying to you guys is that something happens that is wrong and is bad and is nasty, whatever, but because of that, something better comes up. So hopefully with this coronavirus, we'll find something good happening, and people will center more in within than in the external, meaningless stuff that the world is giving us, which is material stuff. So God bless you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, I talk a lot. But it's not true. It is amazing. Really, it's a blessing. And Pamita, you will get there. Don't you can learn, because learning new things is good for us.
So we're going to start breath work, and if anyone else wants to share, but just to explain a little bit more, I already feel all that. So that was the problem I was having. It was just that the words people were giving me to use to explain it weren't sitting with me. So like I already feel, I don't call it the higher power either. That also makes me anxious. It's universe, unicorn. I also don't think people should change their words to make other people feel more comfortable. Like use the word that sits with you. So I feel all that, but I feel it inside of me. I'm not ready to feel it outside. I feel peaceful and serene.
Beautiful.
So it's not like I don't feel that I'm working toward getting that.
Huge.
Okay, so let's all take a deep breath in and sigh it out. Does anyone else want to share anything? We
Thank
just
you for
have
letting me share, by the way.
a minute. You're welcome. Thank you for sharing. Finding grabbing some water or tea, whatever, if you need it.
Set your own timer, maybe just in case. Unless you're okay going for 40 minutes, if anything, if one of us gets disconnected. I'm gonna mute everyone.
Taking any movement you need. If you need to take some seated cat-cows or neck stretches. You need to stick your tongue out of your mouth and just let it stretch out in lion's breath. Maybe you lift your arms up and stretch through fingertips. Oh. I think it's funny whenever I'm offered these things and I'm like, oh yeah, I have these tools that I can do every morning, and I forget every day I can wake up and stretch my body. And then just finding a comfortable seat. We're gonna start with, we'll do some rounds of alternate nostril breathing, and then we'll go right into our meditation. If the transition from the breathing to meditation, you need to lay down or you wanna be in a different position, go for it. If you wanna, I'll let you know when to start the timer. We'll just do 5 rounds of alternate nostril breathing. So just take 3 breaths in, deep breaths in through the nose, filling up the low belly. Releasing out. Inhale, feel the breath moving in through the nostrils into the low belly. Exhale, watch the breath move up the spine, out through the nose. One more time like that, inhaling through the nose. And then exhaling. And then you'll bring your right thumb to close off your right nostril, inhaling through the left. Closing off the left with your ring finger, releasing out the right. Inhaling through the right. Close the right. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close right. Exhale left. 3 more like that on your own breath. No rush to finish, but you'll exhale through the left. And then you'll go right into your meditation. Possibly dedicating today's meditation to this idea that we were just discussing, devoting your meditation to something. Setting your timer for 20 minutes. Bringing your hands together in front of your heart. Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste. Thank you, Pam.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
You too.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so much.
much. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Later.